Residents are coming to the Upland Metaverse, and this is going to make Upland look like SimCity on steroids. If you enjoyed playing SimCity and creating your own world, the Upland Metaverse is definitely for you. SimCity was a game that you played alone, but Upland is a communal game. As part of Upland's Genesis Week in June 2025, the first announcement of residents and how it will work lays the foundation to show how Upland is forging the infinite playground. In this video, I'm going to break down the announcement as well as everything you need to know about residents and all the important things you need to know as you start developing your medium and long-term strategies for the Upland Metaverse. I'm YK2012, founder of the Upland Guide. I'm here to unlock the secrets of the Upland Metaverse. On this channel, you can find everything you need to build your Upland empire. Expert tutorials, winning strategies, pro tips and tricks, and a lot more. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay ahead of the game. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the Upland Metaverse, that knowledge is truly your most valuable asset. When currently looking at the metaverse, it seems more like a static marketplace than a populated world, but residence is going to change that. For years now, when building a structure in Upland, you can see that they have here this expected living units, and this has been a mystery until now. Many players like myself thought that this would mean that we would be able to rent out these living units and part of our properties to other players. For me, I always struggled with trying to understand and see what the use case of that would be. Why would I want to rent out a property from someone else in Upland? But in the announcement about residents, Edun, one of the co-founders, said that that's actually not how this is going to work. Introducing residents into Upland is going to be introducing the concept of human life into the metaverse. With the concept of residents, this will provide another way for players to understand and rank different communities and cities within the Upland metaverse. We currently have the metric of the neighborhood rating, and I believe that that metric is one of the building blocks of the concept of residence. The concept of residence will tie in gamification, life, neighborhoods, voting, mayors, and everything else in the Upland metaverse. As every city, neighborhood, and player continues to grow and develop their land and create items within the metaverse, everyone's contribution will factor into where these residents will want to reside, and all of this will be represented in a new metric called the neighborhood draw. This essentially is going to measure the ability of a specific neighborhood to virtually attract players to want to spend time in that neighborhood. So how does Upland envision this metric work? Imagine that there are 100 residents within the entire Upland metaverse. Each resident needs a place to live, and that's where these expected living units come into play. You're going to need to have these residential structures in order to house your residents, but that's not enough just to attract them. Having a place to live is the foundation, but in addition to that, there's going to need to be things like grocery stores, hospitals, hardware stores, theaters, restaurants, factories, metaventures, and a lot more. Just like in the real world, when you're looking to live in a specific neighborhood, these are types of things that you're going to want to have in your neighborhood or in relative close proximity to you. And that's the same in Upland. Having these types of structures, which are categorized in these categories, will create demand for these virtual residents to want to live in your neighborhood. The global population of these, let's say, 100 residents in Upland, once allocated to a specific neighborhood, will then be distributed evenly between these expected living units. So on one hand, players are incentivized to build these residential units in order to get points as part of this neighborhood draw metric. But on the other hand, if your neighborhood doesn't have these communal structures, then there won't be any real draw for these residents to want to come and live in your neighborhood. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter how many living units you have on your property or within the neighborhood. If the residents aren't coming there because there aren't these additional services, then you're not going to be able to score those points. Having a variety of these different types of structures and services being provided in your neighborhood is something that will strengthen your neighborhood draw metric. So finding the right balance between the number of residential structures and some of these other communal structures and the variety of them is not something that a single player can do. You're going to have to be part of a neighborhood and start planning as a neighborhood to see how you can maximize that variety. Neighborhoods who score high on this neighborhood draw metric will be rewarded in several ways, and increasing players' yield was put on the table as one of these potential ways. The neighborhood ratings, which is a metric that rewards property holders of neighborhoods that excel in creating value as a community for Uplanders, is probably going to be a big part of this neighborhood draw metric as well. Since Upland is dynamic, with new buildings and assets being created, things being moved around the metaverse, every day this neighborhood draw metric is going to be updated. And thus we will see the redistribution of these residents on a regular interval across the metaverse. Also in Upland, don't forget that every single city is different. A city like Miami might be more attractive in the summer months, and a destination like Salt Lake City might be more attractive in the winter months. These cities factored in with Upland's seasonal concept will also have an influence on how these residents are being distributed across these neighborhoods. So now that we know about this new upcoming metric, what can you start doing now practically to get yourself best positioned for when this is released? With the understanding that players who build residential structures and have expected living units in them will receive some sort of advantage within Upland. On a personal level, having this is extremely important. Having Sparklet is going to be important not just for building these structures, but for building anything within Upland. You can learn more about Sparklet in our free course in the upper right-hand corner. Sparklet is something that you can get at any time, but I would say that the number one thing that you have to do is start connecting with the community. This means not just getting involved on a social level, but also owning a property within that neighborhood. You can go buy these properties on the secondary market, but I bet that if you're an Uplander who isn't really involved in any communities right now, and you start getting involved and connecting with people who are actively building up these neighborhoods, I bet there are people that would be happy to have a person like you in that neighborhood, and they may even gift you a property. These neighborhood leaders who have invested not only lots of time, but lots of OPEX likely in purchasing many properties are probably looking for players exactly like you to come and be a part of it. As I said before, to get these residents to come and join your neighborhood, it's going to be a community effort. Start establishing yourself as a valued community member today so that you can start reaping the benefits when this residence feature starts rolling out. Obtaining Sparklet then, or even getting other players to help you construct your building, is something that can be done quite easily. Building the trust and putting in the time and effort is something that you can't get back once that time has passed. So now's your time to start getting involved. If you have any questions about communities to join, you can reach out to me directly, or I highly suggest heading into Upland's Discord server, and there you can start learning more about the different communities and meeting people within Upland.